Welcome back. Let's talk about the size of the artboard, which could get quite complicated if you don't have the right perspective. Now, we saw that Google measures everything in DP and SP. Now, if you're a coder, you're probably familiar with these terms. But what about for the rest of us, for designers? What should we do? Well, here's the short version. Now, first, for Android apps, we're gonna use 720 as the width. The height really doesn't matter because most of the time we're gonna have longer apps. So why 720 even though we have 360 or 412 in the presets panel? And in some UI kits, you might have seen 375. Here's the situation. 360 is the standard in material design number 2. You can see an example here where the height of the action bar is 56 dp. And that translates to 56 pixels on a 360 artboard. Now you can see all these other measurements which are very useful for beginners. Now the problem with 360 is that it's quite small. So when you export it or you want to show it off to your friends or even your clients, it's not gonna look as good, it's not gonna be as sharp, right? So that's why I prefer to simply double the entire thing. The proportions are the same, but we're just doubling it, right? So that's why we're gonna use 720. Again, with basically doubling the screen size, but everything is proportional. So you can always look at these values from the guide and double them and you'll be good to go. So for example, 56 dp becomes 112 pixels. 16 becomes 32 and so on. The proportions remain the same. But here's the thing. Say that the standard changes from 360 to whatever else, right? Whatever. Well, just as a rough example, say that we have a 16 pixel gap here, and then here, okay? On a 360 screen. Cool. Then on the 412 pixel one, then it might increase to 24 pixels. But again, it's gonna be 24 everywhere. So the idea is, again, everything is proportional. Everything either scales up or down. And because we're using vectors, this is all fine. So to sum this up, the size of your screen isn't really all that important because your elements will always scale up or down. That's how apps work. Some phones have super crazy high resolutions. Cheaper ones have lower resolutions. So are you gonna design 10 plus versions of every single app? No, that would be crazy. Instead, you create one as a guide and then the coder is gonna scale it up or down depending on various things. And because we're using shapes and icons that are vector based, this means that you can do it without any quality issues. You're not gonna get fuzzy or blurry edges. And again, I recommend 720 for the width. And that brings us to the next sizing issue. What's the best size for all of our components? For the buttons, for the action bars, for the cards and so on. Let's talk about that in the next clip.